right this very minute. Welcome to, the Who's Next Project. The Who's Next Project is where we introduce to you people that are running for office for the first time, people you do not know, people who are your neighbors, people who are like you, sick of what they keep seeing and say, you know what, it's time for me to put my plowshare down and go ahead and see what I can't do about helping out my neighbors. And one of the guys that wants to do exactly that joins us, running for a seat, the 106th District of Texas. Let's make welcome to the Wells Report and the Who's Next Project, Pat Fallon. Pat, welcome. Good to have you here.
Well, thank you, Mr. Wells. I appreciate it.
Call me JD.
JD. Thanks.
So you're the Mayor Pro Tem of Frisco.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. I was just putting my plowshare away as you called in. So.
That's great, man. Talk to me a little bit about you. What do we need to know about Pat Fallon, the man?
Well, very blessed to have great parents. I think that's where it all starts. And I remember my mom telling me once that life wasn't fair, and boy, isn't that the truth. And, she said, if you want something in this life, I better never catch. I remember specifically, I was about 10 years old, and she came into my room one day, and I was whining and moaning about some toy I didn't get. She said, I better never catch you at night praying to God, asking him for the things that you don't have. You better look up to the sky and thank him for the things that you do. Because you live in this country, and this is a meritocracy, and I did not know what she was talking about. But I learned very quickly that, you want something in this country, you have the opportunity to earn it. And I didn't go out and get a job. I went out and got jobs.
Yeah, it's, man, I'll tell you, just catch yourself not counting your blessings. Just catch yourself, because if God does it, he's going to remind you in harsh terms.
Well, absolutely. And, if you work, just think about, I oftentimes when you get down a little bit, you think about there's 6 billion people on this planet, and only 300 million of them can call themselves Americans. So we won a lottery by simply being born in this country.
No doubt about it. We are talking to Pat Fallon, part of the Who's Next Project. If you have a question for Pat Fallon, he's running for state representative. Current Mayor Pro Tem of Frisco?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So he's running for state representative and will need your vote and would like to answer your questions. 866-660-KSKY. That's 866-660-5759. So what did you get accomplished while you have been the Mayor Pro Tem of Frisco?
Well, JD, one of the reasons I ran, pretty much the primary reason I ran, is because Obama won the presidency in November of '08. And I was so forlorn and depressed, I literally wore black for a month. I was in mourning, and my wife said to me, well, then get out and take some action and do something. And I was 41, and I ran, and I told everybody then who I was, because you don't need 100% of the vote. You need 51%, or 50.1. So I said, listen, I'm going to be a fierce advocate for the taxpayer. I'm going to put public safety first. I'm going to focus on core city services. And we've done that over the last 3 years in Frisco. We've been able to I voted against the tax increase in '09. We were able to cut the taxes this year, and we still were able to build a fire station. And that's what you need to focus on when you have a downturn in the economy, not building bright, shiny new things because you can go to a cocktail party and feel good about yourself and pat each other on the back and say, look what we built. Well, guess what? If you didn't use your money and you didn't build it with your hands, you didn't build it. The taxpayers built it. And how about somebody being a voice for them and not always a special interest that, that are well-organized and well-funded?
That sounds like a very good story. I like that very much. I like the fact that you saw that and you moved forward with it. Talk to me about how the state GOP has reacted to you. Have they been good to you?
Yeah, no, very good. In fact, Steve Ministeri just awarded me a chairman's award, and kind of almost like this segment, kind of an up-and-comers thing. And I was very flattered and honored to have that designation by him. And, been working with the state party and really at the grassroots level. It's amazing what you can accomplish, because when I tell people this all the time in local elections, that I understand that when you vote in a presidential election, you're one of about 130 million people. So you're bringing in a pinprick to the voting booth. But when you vote in a local election, you're bringing in a sledgehammer.
There's no doubt about it. You're absolutely correct. What did you, let me ask you this. What did you do before you decided to get into politics, before you went into the private sector as the founder of Virtus Apparel?
Yes. Well, yeah, a lot of people ask me, well, what did you do before this? And I say, I'm still doing it because we only get $50 off our water bill every month. So,
that big time, yeah, that big time glamorous pay of a Mayor Pro Tem of Frisco. Yeah.
What Virtus Apparel did is, I was in the Air Force. I was a military officer, and, I was able to get 8 years of the best leadership training that you can get in the world. And when I got out, I started an entrepreneurial path, and I was very good. I was actually, in fact, an expert at losing money for quite a while. And then we kind of, it is. And then you turn it around, and long story short, in '07, I noticed that younger kids were wearing, teenagers and 20-somethings were wearing shirts that had prints all over the place, stuff that you and I probably wouldn't wear, but I noticed that messaging was very negative. Fliction is one of the leading brands, and another one's called Sinful. You have teenage girls going to high school with the word sinful across their chest. In a country of 300 million people, we have to do better. So a friend of mine and I founded Virtus Apparel, and Virtus in Latin means courage. So we wanted to come up with a line of clothing that was patriotic, proactive, and positive. And lo and behold, we started in '07, we had about maybe 20 employees. We have almost 100 employees now.
Awesome. That's just great.
And JD, that was from '07 to '11 when the economy really kind of went to the tank. But we've grown, and you can grow, and there are those stories out there. The media just doesn't want to report them, unfortunately.
Well, that's why you're here on the Wells Report on News Talk 660 KSKY. Pat Fallon for State Representative, 866-660-KSKY, 866-660-5759. We believe that people need to know who you are, and people need to realize that there are other alternatives besides the people they've been voting for over and over and over again. And we try to make sure that with the Who's Next project, we let people know that if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. That's just the way that goes. Kirk in the Colony, welcome to the Wells Report on News Talk 660 KSKY. What's your question for Pat Fallon?
Good afternoon, good evening. I have a question regarding education, what Mr. Fallon's views are, what his background is, and I'm real concerned with the efficiency or lack of efficiency with the way the money is spent in Austin and filters back to our local districts.
All right, Kirk, thanks very much. What are your thoughts on schooling?
Well, yeah, that's a very important question. It's one of my five priorities and focuses. Like I said, my parents were public school teachers. They're retired public school teachers, and I'm a product of public schools. The state spends roughly $54 billion every other year. They have a 2-year budget cycle. And $54 billion was spent on education. Now, some people will say that, education was gutted, and they use terms like, it's draconian cuts. And yes, there were, on a per-student basis, education from the 81st legislature to the 82nd legislature was cut by 5.6%. But it was actually the total overall spending went up $125 million. I'll give you for instance, JD. There's a school district in this 106, in HD 106, that they wanted a tax increase back in 2010. But in Texas, you can go to $1.04 for O&M costs per $100 evaluation on your home. If a school district goes above that, they need voter approval. They asked for voter approval, and they didn't get it. 67% of the people in that school district rejected the tax increase. It was about $4 million. But I looked something up that was very interesting, and I wanted to share with you. From 2010 to the next school year in 2011, their standardized test scores actually went up.
Neat.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah,
they didn't get their $4 million, and yet the students in the classroom perform better.
Well, the thing about that is that everything that we have a problem with in Texas schools has nothing to do with money. We've been throwing money at education and more money at education than we put money on top of money in education, and arguably things have gotten worse, not better, and obviously there has to be some sort of change. And maybe you could be one of those guys. Pat Fallon for State Representative, District number 106. He says he's a proven conservative leader. Do you have a question that will put him through his paces? 866-660-KSKY, 866-660-5759. He wants to go to the State House and be part of the conservative supermajority. It kind of bugs me. I want to know, first of all, is it a supermajority? And two, is it conservative? We keep sending conservatives to the State House, and we keep being run off the road by Republicans in name only, Joe Strauss. So as we move forward through this conversation, make sure that you keep in mind that what we're trying to get done is we're trying to get an irrefutable majority in the Texas State House so we can start actually moving the state forward. Not talking about moving the state forward, but actually doing it. Maybe Pat Fallon can help. 866-660-KSKY, 866-660-5759. We'll be back with more of the Who's Next project in just a moment.